Alright guys, what's going on? Welcome in. So in this one, I wanted to really talk about 5 players that I feel like have a really good chance of breaking out this upcoming season. And by breaking out, I mean either A, having a career season, or B, just bursting on the scene. So with that being said, let's jump in. So the first player up is the Jets' second-round pick in this past draft, wide receiver out of Ole Miss, Elijah Moore. Okay, now everything that we've seen from Elijah Moore up to this point, whether it's through voluntary OTAs, mandatory minicamp, even rookie camp, everything has been solid. Everything has been there, okay? Forming the chemistry with Zach Wilson. Obviously, he's a great system fit for the Mike LaFleur offense. He had a ton of production at Ole Miss. Video game-esque numbers, okay? 8 games, 8 touchdowns, just under 2,000 receiving yards, and 86 catches. Are you kidding me? Now, the only caveat, Lane Kiffin's offense does throw the football a lot. Matt Corral is a really good quarterback for the Rebels, so maybe the stats are inflated just a little bit, but it doesn't really matter. Elijah Moore still put up those numbers when it was all said and done. So this guy's coming into the Jets locker room as a highly decorated wide receiver from Ole Miss. He dominated the SEC and was a consensus first-round pick. I feel like I wasn't alone in thinking Elijah Moore was a first-round guy. I was really thinking Green Bay Packers, bottom of round 1, maybe the New Orleans Saints, maybe the Baltimore Ravens. But the second he slipped by 32, I was thinking, oh my God, this guy could be there on the board for the Jets at 34. This guy's explosive. He's dynamic, he's electric. There's a lot of really attractive traits, and to be honest with you, Elijah Moore was probably my favorite draft pick that the team made. Really exciting stuff. And by the way, Flight 2021 recently came out, and it's absolutely incredible. It's kind of like a mini Hard Knocks if you don't know it. I highly recommend checking it out. But anyway, in that series, there was a little clip when talking about Elijah Moore. The New York Jets front office had Moore ranked as the 16th best player in this draft. 16th. And we drafted him at 34. Not to mention the consensus believed Elijah Moore was a first-round guy. And again, you know, we talked about his talent level. We talked about his system fit. We talked about his production in college. Everything is laid out perfectly for Elijah Moore to really walk into a great situation and have a successful rookie season. And I do feel like at the end of the season, Elijah Moore will be Zach Wilson's favorite and #1 target. Player number 2, Karl Lawson, defensive end that was recently signed from the Cincinnati Bengals, signed on a multi-year contract. Okay, I really do believe in Karl Lawson. One of my favorite free agent signings that the Jets made, probably one of your favorites as well. Karl Lawson not only just fits the 4-3 system as just that traditional edge rusher, just hand in the dirt, pin his ears back and go. He can also do a nice job of setting the edge, stopping the run. I feel like Karl Lawson has a nice combination of both speed and strength, and size for that matter as well. I really feel like with Karl Lawson, it's all about the potential, it's all about the upside, it's all about Robert Saleh bringing the most out of Karl Lawson. Can Robert Saleh do that? His track record, his resume says yes. I mean, you look at some of the guys that he's worked with in the past. I mean, Nick Bosa aside, I mean, just because he was, you know, the 2nd overall pick, tons and tons of talent, you know, one of the best pass rushers in the league, one of the premier guys. But just some of the other guys that have stepped up throughout the years of Robert Saleh being in San Francisco. Kerry Hyder comes to mind, Ronald Blair, who's actually a member of the New York Jets. Who else? DeForest Buckner, Eric Armstead. Really, the only guy that I can think that like didn't really work out or never really progressed was Solomon Thomas. And I really don't know what happened there, because obviously he was a top 5 draft pick coming out of Stanford. A lot of people really liked him, but for the most part of Robert Saleh's defensive coaching career, he has always gotten the most out of his defensive linemen. And I feel like with Karl Lawson, he has the upside, he has the youth, he has the motor, he plays with a lot of passion, a lot of energy. He has the speed, size, and strength. And by the way, I also feel like with Karl Lawson being the guy, being the #1 premier pass rusher on the Jets this upcoming season, he's going to have a lot of opportunities to not only just get after the passer, but he's going to be on the field a lot. Okay, I do feel like Karl Lawson will be a leader for this young Jets team. We have a lot of young players all around this defense, okay? Of course, a couple veterans, CJ Mosley, Marcus May, guys that have been around the block, but Sheldon Rankins included. But for the most part, there's a lot of young football players on this team. I feel like Karl Lawson will embrace being that #1 premier pass rusher on this team, and I think when you're looking at everything on paper, fits the system, physical traits, under Robert Saleh, has everything to be successful. I think it's all lining up to have a really solid year. Next up, another rookie, 4th round pick, running back from North Carolina, Michael Carter. This is a player who, much like Elijah Moore, slipped through the cracks and fell to round 4. A lot of people out there expected Michael Carter to go in round 3, and funny enough, there were actually reports saying that if the Jets didn't trade up for Elijah Vera-Tucker, as we all know, they gave up 2 3rd-round picks. One of those 3rd-round picks would have been Michael Carter in the first place. Okay, so the Jets once again landed their guy, and they were able to land actually 2 of their guys, with Elijah Vera-Tucker in round 1, trading up for him, and then Michael Carter in round 4, early round 4. I mean, this is a guy who has a lot of potential as a runner and a pass catcher, fits the system. He has a lot of burst, a lot of quickness, really hits running lanes with a lot of intensity, a lot of speed. This guy has blistering quickness as well. I mean, just watching him in open field, catching swing passes, I think it's going to give defensive coordinators headaches trying to stop this guy, especially with all the pass catchers on this football team with Denzel Mims, Corey Davis, Jamison Crowder, Keelan Cole, and Elijah Moore. I feel like much like Michael Carter's draft story, he'll slip through the cracks once again as a pass catcher. I mean, we've been talking about this for a long time, and you guys called this down below in the comment section. I want to say a month ago, maybe 2 months ago. Michael Carter has the potential to be running back 1, the starting RB1 for this football team. You take a look at this Mike LaFleur offense, everything is going to be built through the running game. And again, we talked about Michael Carter fitting the system because of the ability to hit holes with a lot of energy and force, and not to mention, Tevin Coleman's on this team as well. He was recently brought in by the New York Jets, and this is a guy who has a really similar skill set to Michael Carter. And this is a player who's seen a lot of football. He's played with Mike LaFleur. He's been successful in this system. So now, from a mentor standpoint, Michael Carter has a older player on the roster that he can not only just learn from, but to lean on as well for advice in practice, the days leading up to game day. Again, both of these guys have that similar skill set. The only difference is Tevin Coleman's been playing for a long time now. He's seen his fair share of defenses, so he might have knowledge. He might have some tips for Michael Carter that can definitely benefit his game. So much like a lot of you, I think Michael Carter will have a pretty successful rookie season. Next up, player number 4, left tackle Makai Beckton. Who is Makai Beckton? This is a big-bodied, athletic left tackle that humiliates defensive ends on a week-to-week basis. Okay, as a rookie, as a 21-year-old rookie, he was throwing guys around like ragdolls. He was throwing veteran defensive ends, proven pass rushers around like they were absolutely nothing. Okay, so going into year 2, you expect that year 2 jump. You're looking at the offense, obviously firing Gase, bringing Mike LaFleur in. This is a zone blocking attack. This is going to be a run-heavy, run-first style of offense. What's Makai Beckton's best trait? He has a lot of them, but what's his best? Run blocking. Run blocking is Makai Beckton's specialty. I think it was late last season where the plan in the run game was just run behind Beckton. Just run behind him, and we're going to pick up positive yards. So I think really the best is yet to come. I will say this of course is barring any sort of injury. Dealt with some injuries last year. He's dealing with the plantar fasciitis right now, so I'm hoping he stays healthy, and the expectation is that the fasciitis will subside before the start of the season, so that's a big plus. And another thing to note, Makai Beckton was actually pretty good in pass protection last year. That was his biggest knock coming out of Louisville. He might be a little raw, he might be a little too big, he might not be the best pass protector in year 1, but he proved a lot of people wrong. Okay, Makai Beckton really did a solid job. And honestly, I might, I know this might sound like a little bit of a homer statement, but I felt like Makai Beckton was one of the better left tackles in the league last year, rookie aside, right? Just in the entire NFL, looking at all 32 left tackles. But Makai Beckton was right up there. One thing to note, in this style of offense, the ball will be leaving Zach Wilson's hands quickly, right? When we're not running the football, it will be a lot of quick passing, okay? Crossing patterns, mesh routes, screens. So it's not like Makai Beckton's going to have to be blocking, a defensive end for 5-6 seconds here, anything crazy like that. So if the ball is leaving Zach Wilson's hands within 2-3 seconds of the snap, it's going to be a pretty big challenge for opposing defensive ends to beat Makai Beckton, get to Zach Wilson, a mobile quarterback, in less than 3 seconds, in less than 4 seconds. I think that's a pretty difficult task to ask, okay? Especially coming off of a dominant, unstoppable year 1, okay? So Makai Beckton, I have really high hopes for. And last but not least, of course, we all know who it's going to be here. Quarterback from BYU, Zach Wilson. Going into his first season, Zach Wilson has everything at his fingertips. What do you need? Do you need offensive, red zone threats? Great, we have Denzel Mims and Corey Davis. Do you need guys that can separate early in the play? Okay, awesome, we have Elijah Moore and Jamison Crowder. Do you need a versatile wide receiver that can line up all over the field, outside, inside, make plays down the field, in the short and intermediate passing game? Awesome, we have Keelan Cole. We have an up-and-coming offensive line. We have some young talent in the running back room. Do we have an offensive system that's tailored to Wilson's skill set? We do. We have a young coaching staff and a support system surrounding Zach Wilson. So really, the transition for Wilson from BYU to the New York Jets, I feel like will be a lot easier than maybe, a Geno Smith coming from West Virginia to New York, a Bryce Petty coming from Baylor to New York, a Sam Darnold coming from USC to New York. I think everything, I feel like the stars are kind of aligning here. And not to mention, you look at the BYU offense, some of the stuff that they were doing, a lot of that stuff's going to be adopted in New York as well. Cincinnati did the same thing with Joe Burrow. With Zach Taylor, looking at some of the stuff that LSU did really, really well, really effectively, and kind of implementing that in the pro system just to make Joe Burrow's life easier, just to make him more comfortable at the pro level. I feel like we're going to be doing a lot of the same thing with Zach Wilson, and not to mention all of the reasons why Zach Wilson was the second overall pick in the first place. Arm power, quick release, accuracy, command of the offense, mobility, playmaking abilities. He could hurt you down the field, deep down the field. The deep ball placement is great. Working off of play action, intermediate, out routes, short passing, throwing on the run, throwing from different arm slots. Everything is there. Everything is there. And up to this point, we've heard so many remarkable things as far as Zach Wilson's work ethic is concerned, his practice habits, his leadership, forming really creating those bonds, forming that chemistry with his teammates, whether it be on the football field, just working well in voluntary OTAs and minicamp, or going to Islanders games with the team, right? A bunch of offensive linemen, Mike White's there. Will there be rookie mistakes? Yes. Will there be a learning curve? I do believe so, but nobody's perfect. I mean, Tom Brady and Aaron Rodgers are still throwing picks, to this day. So I feel like even though it's hard to predict, right? Because there's so many uncertainties, there's so many question marks, a young team, new, bunch of fresh faces, tons of new free agents, brand new coaching staff. How do we adjust? How do we like to call plays? There's so many new things happening. It's kind of hard to project what will happen, but I'll say this, there's a lot more pros than cons here. There's a lot more positives than negatives. And I feel like for the first time in a long time, the Jets are finally, as one unit, taking steps in the right direction and building this team up in the right way. We're not rushing the process. We're not overpaying guys. We're not, completely ignoring, free agency. We're not completely ignoring the draft. We're not trading away our picks. We're doing this thing the right way. We're building this team like the Baltimore Ravens. We're building this team like the Indianapolis Colts and the Buffalo Bills and the Pittsburgh Steelers, teams that have figured it out, right? They have the blueprint. So anyway, thanks so much for watching. Let me know your thoughts down below in the comment section. Who are you most excited for? Who do you think are your top 5, your top 3 guys that will break out for the New York Jets? Of course, I do feel like there's other players on this football team that will have productive seasons. Like CJ Mosley, Marcus May being a couple that just kind of pop out. And Keelan Cole's another guy who I'm really, really looking forward to watching this upcoming season. So again, thanks so much for watching. Cannot wait to see who you guys kind of suggest and throw out there. Should be awesome. Thanks so much. And as always, go Jets.